Where do you see Bitcoin going at the end of the year?
Realistically, I think we're probably going to see about $180,000.
By the end of this year, 2025? If you're in Bitcoin long term, you should still be okay. Even if we have politicians come in that are anti-crypto, we'll still be safe in Bitcoin long term?
I believe so, yeah. As people get older, they have the devices. There might be maybe a few hundred million people in crypto today, but in 10 years, it might be half the world is using crypto. So if we just look at that user adoption, of course, it's going to be more valuable because it'll be more prevalent.
Insider stock trading. How come most politicians are allowed to do that?
You know, when you're in a position of power and you're making $180,000 a year in a salary, and then you're seeing all this other money go by, the billions of dollars, I can see how it could be very tempting to somebody to say, hey, I want a bigger piece of the pie. I think the politicians have had a free pass for a long time, and the only way they know how to make money is take advantage of their situation, which is access to information that you and I don't have.
And why are they exempt versus us not being exempt?
It's the law that's in place. Congress is protected, and it's not fair.
Where do you see Bitcoin going at the end of the year?
You know, every halving on the blockchain, basically there's a 4-year cycle. Every 4 years roughly, the Bitcoin blockchain has, which means the difficulty to mine a new Bitcoin is twice as hard. And based on those projections, I mean, I looked at a max high of about 256,000 for Bitcoin, but realistically, I think we're probably going to see about $180,000.
By the end of this year, 2025?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
180,000?
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy some Bitcoin. Michael, I swear to God, if this thing goes down and I lose money, all right, who are you running against?
Debbie Wasserman.
I'm gonna give Debbie money against her campaign. All right, what's one crypto project everyone's sleeping on right now?
You know, that's I don't know if anybody's sleeping on it, but there's a lot of projects out there. I think one of the things that's the next big thing in crypto is real-world asset tokenization and tokenized securities for secondary markets, meaning that people in the US and even around the world will be able to buy, say, real estate assets or US assets or development projects that are tokenized on the blockchain and pay for it in cryptocurrency.
Where can we invest to capitalize on that? Like which platform? I know Robinhood is starting to do that. Should we buy Robinhood stock? Not that you're giving financial advice, but where can we invest or how can we get in on this?
I think it's a little too soon to say. It's being developed now. There's a few platforms that are doing it.
Which ones?
No, I'm saying basically creating those platforms. So what you need what they call a broker-dealer and a digital ATS license to do something like this.
Who has those?
So Securitize is an example of one. The Securitize did the IPO for Exodus platform. So
should we be looking at Exodus platform or should we be looking at Securitize?
Securitize is the one that has the license for the securities.
Okay, so are they publicly traded?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not sure.
So we'll have to look at Securitize. What's the biggest rookie mistake people make when they're starting to invest in crypto?
Panicking too soon.
Like selling?
So yeah, you know, I have friends and family ask me all the time, you know, about investing in Bitcoin or buying Bitcoin. And one thing I would say, you know, it might go down tomorrow, next week, and 6 months from now, it might go down a lot. But if you look, you know, just hold it for a year or 4 years or 5 years, if you just look at the horizon, you're going to be better off than you are today. So don't panic in 3 months or 6 months if you know, there's a big dip, because ultimately it's going to go higher, at least for the foreseeable future.
How do you think crypto and AI are going to change the game?
I think AI generally, not just with crypto, but with all securities trading, it's going to create more efficiency in the markets. And if that efficiency is going to minimize the swings. So if you have like a swan event and Bitcoin loses 20, 30%, those swings would be less and less because there'll be more efficiency overall because the traders will be using AI and tighten those margins up.
And looking out 5 years, what crypto would you recommend or would you hold for the next 5 years?
I'm a pure Bitcoinist, so there's other cryptos that are good, but I mean, for me, Bitcoin is one thing that I'd say is the most stable long term.
Well, I mean, you're managing a company that's doing $20 billion a year and annual financing, so.
There's a lot of great projects, and I would.
Because you're seeing a lot of, the reason why I like that is because there's velocity in what you're doing. Yeah. You're seeing a lot of transactions happening, and so you have a pretty good, I guess, sense of where the market is, and your like information is at the tip end of the spear. So, like, that's what I want to.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good projects. I mean, everything that Trump's talking about putting in the crypto reserve. Those are all great tokens in my opinion. But for me, it's just Bitcoin is the most stable. They're all good projects that are there. And there's gonna be a lot more new projects. I still think we're in the infancy of what is capable with blockchain. I mean, we're really just becoming mainstream now. Wall Street money is just kicking in now. So what we know today compared to what's gonna be in 5 years is gonna be dramatically different, in my opinion.
If we wanted to invest in new projects and new coins and new crypto opportunities, where do you think we should be looking at now for researching? You talked about the tokenization of real estate, of just basically everything, and they're building these platforms. Who should we be following? Who are the leaders in the space that we should just be following, whether it's on X or Instagram, just to learn more about the industry and just keep up with it?
I mean, for me, one of the best news sources is CoinDesk.
CoinDesk?
Yeah. Every day, it's the latest crypto news going on, latest innovation, the latest companies. I mean, there's a lot of things happening right now. The last few years, they've built the basic infrastructure, and now with the new Trump administration coming in, they're very pro crypto and innovation. So I think a lot of Wall Street money was scared to come in during the Biden administration because we didn't know what was going to happen. But now that Trump's in, all the money is now flooding into these projects. So what we'll see is a lot of innovation come to market next year and the year after, which will be, I think, game changers in a lot of ways, access to investment.
Who's going to benefit from all that money coming in?
I think everyone.
No, meaning which sector is going to do better? So if we buy that, we'll ride the wave with them.
I mean, real estate's going to be a big one. I mean, basically, wherever you see inefficiencies and gaps in completing transactions, because that's what blockchain does, completes transactions better, faster, cheaper. So blockchain is just a technology. The token is just a medium of confirming. So I think wherever every day we have our normal lives where we buy and sell things, we go to places. So take a look at where can blockchain be applied to that activity and improve the efficiency. And if there's a yes, it'll happen because it's just a normal nature of evolution there.
What about political risk? You said Trump campaign is pro-crypto, so that's flooding in capital into the market, and all these programs and projects are going to flourish from that. What if the next president that comes in is not pro-crypto and they pass a whole bunch of laws that hinder that? What will get affected and how can we mitigate?
Well, I'll say make sure I make it into the Congress in 2026.
Yeah. Well, for sure. If Bitcoin hits 180, I'm sending you a check for your campaign.
No, so I mean, it's Congress that's going to make the laws. But if you have an administration that's pro or against, I mean, that determines where the comfortability investing in that. I think we just have to make sure that we're getting the right people into power, into the right elected offices. For a long time, this industry was going offshore to Singapore, to Dubai. And when Trump came in, all those people started coming out to the US because the US, in reality, because of our banking, we're very efficient in our markets here. So when we do things, even though we might have been slow to get here, we do it bigger, better, faster than every country in the world. So there's so much money now being invested. I think we have a huge foundation here. It's going to be hard to reverse. So I'm pretty hopeful overall, no matter who's in office, that they can't reverse what's been done.
So even worst case scenario happens, if you're in Bitcoin long term, you should still be okay, even if like we have politicians come in that are anti-crypto, we'll still be safe in Bitcoin long term?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, the thing about crypto, you have a global market. You know, there's 8 billion people in the world, and you know, it's a generational shift in any type of a new technology. So as people get older, they have the devices. So basically over the next 10 years, there might be maybe a few 100 million people with crypto today, but in 10 years, it might be half the world is using crypto. So if we just look at that user adoption, of course it's going to be more valuable because there'd be more demand.
And then what about the quantum computers or super AI? How will they affect cryptos? Bitcoin specifically, will the computing power ever get to a point where it breaks the blockchain technology or cracks it, where the security vulnerabilities?
I don't think so, and I think the Bitcoin governance, they're going to basically adopt the technology to further secure the blockchain. So as new technology emerges with AI and quantum computing, it'll just be incorporated into the blockchain to protect it against AI and quantum computing.
What are your top 3 favorite cryptocurrencies right now?
Bitcoin. I think Ethereum's great right now because if you've seen that NASDAQ is starting to tokenize everything, and they're going to be using ERC20 Ethereum. And I think Solana is very good right now.
So long term for 5 years, would you buy? I know you said Bitcoin, but what about the other two?
I would, yeah. I mean, Bitcoin is obviously it's where my favorite, but I think Ethereum, Solana, they were already withstood the time test, and they're going to last a lot longer.
Got it.
One thing I would also just add is just in cryptocurrency in general. I think this is really important for people to understand. And this is, for me, it's a national security issue. It's an economic issue. Stablecoin is going to change everything in the world because I spent a lot of time doing business in other countries, especially in South America. And a lot of countries, they don't want their peso, they don't want their real, they don't want their rupee, they want a US dollar stablecoin. And as people evolve more into adopt new technologies, you're gonna get more and more people buying US dollar stablecoin, protect against the native currencies. So we're already seeing that all over the world, but now with the Genius Bill, that's basically empowering US companies and more people to create more stablecoins. We're gonna have so much technology and so much distribution potential of stablecoins that everybody around the world, they can circumvent the petrodollar, they can circumvent currency controls. There's nothing stopping somebody from swapping their native currencies for a US dollar stablecoin. So I think we need to really understand what's gonna happen is that what happens when 1%, 5%, 10% of a population drops their native currencies, go US dollar stablecoin. It's gonna force the whole world, I say not the whole, most of the world, to dollarize their central banks. So we have to look at that as that's going to shift our economics, our geopolitical situation completely in the next 10 years.
For the people that don't understand US stablecoin, can you talk briefly about just from a quick elevator pitch A to Z of what it is?
So in simple terms, it's no different than the way we use money on our phones today. Like an e-wallet, like PayPal, for example. You move dollars, but you don't, no physical dollars. It's all electronic, right? So a US dollar stablecoin is just this similar from a process. You're just moving money, but there's blockchain technology behind it to confirm it. And so that money, even though it's on the blockchain as a token, there's actual real dollars allocated to back it, sitting in a bank and protected. So for every one US dollar stablecoin, there's a real US dollar sitting in a bank to back it that's redeemable. So
is it centralized or decentralized?
It could be both. It could be both. There are decentralized stablecoins that are not necessarily backed by US dollars, but maybe backed by a portfolio of other cryptos or other assets. But what I'm talking about here mainly is actual stablecoin that's backed by US dollars sitting in a bank.
As far as the US stablecoin, is there one specific one that you recommend people use?
No, there's not ones I recommend over the others. I mean, you have USDC, USDT. USDG is becoming bigger and bigger. That's the consortium. There's a few companies involved in that. I think that one is probably better for some people because as a consortium, you could earn more interest off it because with Circle, they take all the interest on those dollar reserves on the USDC. So the consortium model is what's going to be taking over because it allows all the stakeholders to participate in that revenue.
How much revenue can you make off of that?
I mean, it's basically whatever the deposit interest might be for like a money market or a treasury.
Oh, like 3%, 4%?
Yeah.
Got it. And then which would you can still buy that through Coinbase and Kraken or?
Yeah, Coinbase,
USD?
Kraken have it, and there's some other exchanges. Kraken is actually one of the consortium members of USDG.
So when you send US dollars anywhere in the world, everything goes through federal government, Federal Reserve before it goes. Like for example, if you're in Dubai and you send a wire from Dubai to Paris, for example, and if it's in dollars, the money first goes to Bank of New York, Federal Reserve, and then from the Federal Reserve it goes to France. Do these USTs circumvent that and go direct?
Yes, blockchain's peer-to-peer, so there's nobody in between, and that's what makes it very, easy to use and gives people more power.
Got it. And so I see. So it's just global. So for sending wires, for sending money, like internationally, it's super easy to use these.
It's a pure free market that creates more market efficiency because you have people deal directly with people without intermediaries jack up the prices.
And then there's KYC requirements to open these up as well, right? Or the exchanges?
anything that's a licensed exchange is going to ask you for KYC. If something is DeFi, anything DeFi means that you own the custody. So you don't need the KYC yourself.
I see. So if people are not American citizens and they want to transact in US, was it TG?
DG.
USDG, can they open up a Coinbase outside of the US, or is it, how do they do that? Like from Dubai to here, how do those guys from Dubai send you?
Yeah, I mean, there's different exchanges. I mean, you can get USDG. I mean, they're listed on a number of exchanges. I don't know all of them. I know Coinbase is in Europe and Singapore.
I see, but not, so US, Singapore, and Europe, they can use Coinbase, but in like Dubai, they'd have to use a different platform to send it over?
Maybe, because every platform is going to be licensed in a different jurisdiction, and they may accept or prohibit people from different areas.
Because there's some countries that have sanctions, like from Russia. How do people send that from Russia if they're under sanctions?
They're not supposed to.
But they still can, because it's decentralized, right?
Right, but they can't send it to the exchanges. The exchanges are going to basically verify.
Like Coinbase will catch it. But if they go Russia to Dubai, then it won't matter.
If it's peer-to-peer without going through a licensed exchange, then there's nothing stopping.
The peer-to-peer, you just have to have your wallets, right?
Correct.
And those are the compromising. Those are what can get compromised if you lose your key for your wallet.
Yeah, but yeah, there's no intermediary, so nobody can tell you can't send to your friend or family member.
And is it better to have your own wallet and go wallet to wallet versus having an exchange, going through an exchange like Coinbase or Kraken?
It's really personal preference. Some people feel comfortable being in a licensed exchange. Some people don't want to have to worry about a self-custody wallet because it might be too technical.
Or if you lose it,
there's lots of stories of losing it. Actually, there's the Bitcoin governance board. They're actually talking about maybe finding ways to reallocate funds that have been lost that are kind of in these zombie wallets.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out how they can basically bring the funds back if somebody died or if somebody lost their keys. How do they? Because the blockchain committee can actually go reach and get it, but they have to change the rules on the blockchain if they want to do that.
And I just saw that Satoshi's Bitcoin holding hit $190 billion. Like, is that ever going to get,
I don't know.
How are you going to be, how is someone sitting on $190 billion and not doing anything with it?
I'll tell you something. This is really interesting too, and something to think about. So I met a lot of Bitcoin miners the last several years, and some of the big ones from China, from Europe, some of the guys who, actually Genesis Mining is one of the big ones. I know the guys who built that.
Genesis is the twins, the Winklewasses?
Different company, same name.
Okay.
They were the first big commercial Bitcoin mining company. I would say I probably met 6 or 7 Bitcoin miners that were worth multiple billions when Bitcoin was worth $7,000 or $8,000.
Wow.
And these are people that are not in any Forbes list. And in a few more years, I mean, I would say the top 10 richest people in the world are going to be Bitcoin people. So how does that shape world politics?
Is there that much liquidity to be able to cash out 190 billion in one day?
No, they never sell. They don't want to sell it. They'll just make money off of it. It's like a gold reserve,
But how do you make money off of a holding, Bitcoin holding? Let's say you have $1 million in Bitcoin. How do you make money off of that?
You can position it to basically leverage. People can borrow and sell, earn yield off of it, just like you can bartering. So you just put up as an asset to collateralize.
So if I have $1 million in Bitcoin, how do I make money off of it without risking it, without losing it?
You can put it up to collateralize, to basically loan it out against other collateral.
On what platform?
Morpho, like I was mentioning earlier.
Okay, so let's say I have $1 million in Bitcoin. I put it in Morpho and I stake it, or what do I do to?
Well, Bitcoin doesn't do staking because it's not a.
You can tell I know a lot about this stuff.
So it's EVM compatible chains can do staking. Bitcoin is not EVM.
Okay.
But you can put it up as collateral and they'll lend it out to people. So somebody might borrow 50, 70% LTV, but they're going to pay interest. But because you put up the collateral, you're going to earn a lion's share of the interest.
How much interest would I get?
On Bitcoin right now, I'm not sure.
Or just a ballpark?
Probably 5%, give or take.
Okay. So it's not life-changing money.
Well, on a
but
million,
it's still good to be able to borrow against it.
That's $50,000 on a million. I mean. No,
I know. I meant in if you're lending it out on commercial real estate for private money loans, or if you're putting in the S&P 500 or QQQ, earning 18, 20%, 5% is just not that sexy, but it's still better than zero.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other tips or tricks as far as making money in the crypto world, like monthly cash flow?
I mean, Bitcoin's going to go up right now. I said,
Yeah.
we're about to rally to one of the biggest.
Do you think it's going to dip before it goes back up? Like, should we wait or should we buy now? It's 125.
Short term, anything's possible. Like I said, long term.
It's hard to guess, obviously, but
I mean, there was some pullback. Statistically, there was some pullback to 104,000, but it never went down there. I think it got down to like 107,000 a few weeks back. But now it's rallying. It just broke new highs this week. I think yesterday was the highest it's ever been. And I think we're getting ready to rally up to 180 pretty soon.
okay, so just buy now then.
I would.
Okay, got it. Any questions? That's it?
Out of my wheelhouse, bro.
All right. Obviously, it's mine too. I mean, like completely out.
Yeah, but
All
for
right.
PE,
Yeah, but it's not Bitcoin. It's like totally different.
same language. So Michael, I was seeing a clip or something somewhere about you talking about insider stock trading. How come most politicians are allowed to do that, but you're still a civilian? If any of us do that, we get in some really deep shit.
Yeah, I think the politicians have had a free pass for a long time. I think a lot of career politicians don't know how to operate in the private sector, and the only way they know how to make money is take advantage of their situation, which is access to information that you and I don't have.
And why are they exempt versus us not being exempt?
That's the law that's in place. Congress is protected, and it's something we should look at. We should change it, and it's not fair because it's not just about them making money. They're changing the market, which affects us as just regular people trying to invest. So we're at a disadvantage because of the actions that they're doing.
They can swing the market pretty heavy one way or the other.
It's possible, yeah.
How can we benefit?
How can we benefit? I don't know if we can benefit with the with that information that they're using. I think the only way we benefit is create a real market that has fair competition. And the only way to have fair competition is to hold them accountable for insider trading. We should not let it be legal. I mean, I don't really know exactly how. I mean, let's face it, they're Americans. They should have a right to engage in the same opportunities that everybody else does. But there needs to be some checks and balances, some governance, so that they're not taking advantage of their position that we elect them to, because ultimately it's hurting us.
Yeah, and some politicians have generated insane amounts of wealth.
I think most. I mean, you look at many of them when they get elected for the first time. I believe I saw AOC went from being a bartender, now she's worth 22 million. I have no idea how that happened.
Well, Pelosi also, Nancy Pelosi is 400 million.
Over 400 million.
Yeah, and there's also a Nancy Pelosi tracker. So as soon as she buys something, there's a bot, I guess, that follows her trades and posts exactly like what Nancy
So you're saying
is
if you
buying.
copy her, it might work.
It may work. I don't know. It may or may not work.
You're also running against someone who has been doing that as well.
Yes, I'm running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who right now may actually take Pelosi and as far as being able to do better than the hedge fund manager. She had over a 400% gain, I believe, in her last trades.
Oh, that's all?
We should follow her.
Yeah, and she was on a lot of committees where she has access to information that we don't have. Military and government information that is relates to contracts, sales, and company performance. So of course she knows what's going to do better because she knows what in advance what contracts, what revenue that company is going to generate over the next, say, year or 5 years.
Do you feel if a politician is doing that, they actually care about the community they're working for, or they're just focused on their own financial gain?
I think there's a lot of politicians, when you've been there that long, you're basically, I could say you're exploiting your position to better, to create money, to build wealth. And I think a lot of politicians have almost like, I want to call it like this Hollywood celebrity environment where people, you have to make money, you have to be in the scene, you have to create this illusion that, elitism is basically what it is. But, when you're in a position of power and you're making $180,000 a year in a salary, and then you're seeing all this other money go by, there's billions of dollars, I can see how it could be very tempting to somebody to say, hey, I want a bigger piece of the pie. But ultimately, that's not what they're there for. They're a government employee, and they're taking advantage of the American people that voted them in that position.
Michael, I got a question. As far as funding for your campaign, how are you funding your campaign? And after you answer that, I got a follow-up to it.
Sure. So initially, the Kickstarter, I've never been in politics. I'm a first-time candidate.
And you're running for Congress.
I'm running for Congress, Florida's 25th district, against Debbie Washington Schultz. And I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I started a lot of companies, a lot in the fintech space, crypto space, genetic space. And so I wanted to show I'm committed to this. And what I did, I loaned myself approximately about $1 million so far. And that was just to get it started. But I want to demonstrate how you can be innovative and do things differently, because now there's a lot of innovation in the world right now. So what I did is I took the money that I loaned to the campaign to have it invested into cryptocurrency. And I believe I'm the first candidate
Which
to ever
one?
do that. I did Bitcoin and Ethereum. I sold the Ethereum. Well, let me back up. My treasurer sold it. Not me. But now it's all in Bitcoin. And I believe it's up probably about 20-25% gain since I invested in it. So it was a creative way to show you can fund campaigns, you can be creative, and there's better ways of doing things.
So how is your opponent funding her campaign against you?
That's interesting. She's been funded by a lot of the same groups, PACs, lobbyists that have been funding her since she's been in that position for 20 years.
Is APOC one of them?
I believe so, yes.
So how much are they funding against? Have they approached you to see if you're interested in?
No, I haven't taken any lobbying money. I haven't taken any money aside from donors, just individual donors.
But do you feel like you're at an unfair disadvantage where they have much deeper pockets than you?
Yeah, you can say that, but I think what we've seen, especially the last election in 24, that there's better ways of doing things. You look at somebody like Kamala Harris, who had over $1 billion compared to what Trump spent.
I think close to 2 billion, no? It was like 1.9, 1.8 billion.
Quite a bit.
She blew through, yeah. And she was still in debt 20 million after she was done with the campaign.
Right. So it's not about how much money you have, it's about how you allocate that money. I'm an entrepreneur, so when I'm spending money, I make sure I'm getting the best deal. I can tell you, I talk to the marketers, consultants, media people, they want to charge this much money. I'm like, my businesses pay less than that for the same service. So I know where to cut costs and where to deploy money to actually be more effective. And a lot of people in this, in politics, it's a grift. So a lot of that money is wasted, just like those, waste, abuse, and fraud.
Yeah.
And that's happening even in the campaigns, not just in the government.
So you bring up a really good point of how she has a lot of donors and a lot of, I guess, lobbyists. Have any of them approached you? And I'm just dying to know from like an insider's knowledge, what's the pitch?
Actually, I haven't been approached.
At all?
Not by anybody like that. I've had a few phone calls. I actually got approached by some people in the White House, not about funding, but just people saying, "Hey, we like your messaging," but nobody's approached me from a lobby PAC perspective
to say, "Hey, if you just do this, we'll support you if you go that way."
I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah.
But it's I wouldn't say we're early in the race, but it's still 13 months away till the midterms.
So what is the White House asking you, or what message do they like?
If you're allowed to tell them.
Sure. So I did my campaign announcement beginning of September. And my position is I want to focus on restoring the freedoms in America that we've been losing over the decades of basically these policies that have been eroding our economic opportunities, taking away our freedom of speech, like we saw with the censorship during COVID. All of our Bill of Rights, our Second Amendment, these are our fundamental freedoms that we need to restore and protect in America. And so I want to focus on that, but at the same time, showing that things can be better. There's innovation, people should have opportunities for business. So I think that, along what Trump's trying to do with creating this, what he calls golden age of America, I believe that's all possible. And it's not just rhetoric, it's about people actually taking part in this American dream, of taking part in being active in their community, active in politics. I'm 42 years old, but I can tell you that when I go to some of these political events, I'm one of the youngest people there. And I think that's just crazy. So people just need to engage and be part of life, part of our society, and contribute. And by doing that, we make our communities better. And it all has to start with protecting our freedoms and getting opportunity and our safety in this country. If we have the building blocks for that, we can be a prosperous nation.
How do you think you can change that?
I think that, I can do what I can as a person, as an individual. I think a lot of it is it's cultural. Everybody needs to understand that there are options. You don't have to do what we've always done in the past. And if I can get out there and I have a voice that can have a platform to tell people like we can do it differently, that's what it takes. It takes changing the minds of the people, not just one vote. Remember, Congress is 435 people of 1/2 of 1/3, with the executive branch, the judicial branch. So one person might be difficult to make a difference by a vote, but you're representing your people of your district. So it's that, but also getting those ideas and messages out to everyone. And if they're a good idea, people will adopt it.
We're seeing a lot of, I don't know, we interview a lot of people in the military, high up in the military, CIA guys, SEALs. And what we're hearing is things are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse politically. The divide feels like it's going to get a lot worse with what happened with Charlie Kirk. It just feels like this division is becoming worse and worse.
Even on like the gun topic.
Yeah, the gun topic, everything. How do you think do you think it's going to get worse? Do you share the sentiment that they all share, that things just seem like it's getting worse and worse and it's not getting better in that term?
That's good. I think when you're in times of transition, it always feels like it's bad because it's change, and change always feels strange and uncomfortable. And what we're going through it's not something that's fixed overnight. It's a generational idea. It takes the youth to learn, and that's what Charlie Kirk was all about, is saying what you've been learning, the propaganda isn't real. It's not. So he was trying to change the minds for the next generation. And a generational shift takes 20 years. And if you think about that, call it when Trump got elected, because that was in 2016. That was really the turning point where a lot of us saw things in the government and the corruption or just the bureaucracy that
it came to light.
It came to light, exactly. And I think what we're seeing now is a continuation of what triggered at that point. And it takes a lot to basically break down that bloated bureaucracy of corruption and replace it with good people. And that's why we have career politicians in their 70s and 80s still active in Congress and the Senate that have been there 20, 30, 40 years.
Do you think there should be a term limit for Congress? Because it seems like
there's term limits for other things.
I know,
but Congress,
it just keeps they can go forever.
I think that's certainly something that should be discussed. On one hand, I understand people should have the right to put in position who they want to vote for, but at the same time, I think right now we're seeing that there's abuse of that position widespread throughout. That I think term limits should be seriously considered.
President's capped at 8.
Yeah, because it was abused by FDR. So
it was only 4 terms.
So I think when we're in times of dire stress, we need to look at, we can make changes, and changes that we make now doesn't mean it has to be there 50 years from now, but we have to correct a problem and root out a serious problem, and we have the tools to do it. And the states have the right to basically vote for those types of things, because we are a confederacy, meaning the states' rights are above the federal laws. So the states can do this thing, because it's hard for Congress to say, hey, vote for you not to have a job next term. Vote to lower your salary. So we need to find other ways where there's a conflict where Congress won't put something negative on themselves.
One of the guys that we interviewed a while back, Andrew Bustamante, I don't know if you heard of him or not. He's a former CIA that is pretty popular on social media. I was watching one of his podcasts, speak in one of the podcasts, and he was saying that originally when America was founded, the way, I guess, the people that were allowed to vote had to be landowners and have some sort of economic benefit for the country in order to vote. That was the original principles in the US. It wasn't like everyone can vote. Women couldn't vote, slaves couldn't vote. And I'm not saying that's okay, but that was the original idea that if you're a landowner and you're contributing to America, you should be able to vote and shape America. And now it's kind of spread out amongst everyone, where everyone can vote now. And you have this divide where you have a very small, wealthy group that are business owners, entrepreneurs that contribute to America, and they contribute to the growth and prosperity of America. And then you have a vast number of people that some don't work, don't really want to work, some don't even like this country, and they get a chance to vote, and they get a right to vote. And as the vote of the ones that are contributing to America gets diluted down by the larger population of some people that just hate America, but they won't leave, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't work, but their vote is drowning out the vote that really wants to have this pro-America approach. What do you think about that? That was an interesting thing that I saw him. It was an interesting perspective that he brought up.
Yeah, and we see this also in Europe too, because the idea with the founding fathers, those people, those landowners were stakeholders. So if you were a stakeholder, if you owned land, you had basically an incentive to make sure America was doing good. And there were no new people or outside people voting to disrupt America. We see what happened in Europe. World War I basically took out all the Christian monarchies. And so that was the birth of basically socialism in America. And then you have floods of people migrating, overpopulating the natives to outvote. And that's how you basically destroy a country's culture and values, by basically letting people who don't share those same values vote out what you were founded on. And if you look at what's happening in America now, you'll have to look at what happened in Europe for the last 20 years, and that's where we're headed if we don't basically fix our problems. Because, I mean, we have talked about the redistricting going on in different states right now is because illegal immigrants are getting the right to vote, and they're not even Americans. So, I mean, I'm all for everybody voting. If you're an American, certainly not
Pro-America, you know.
Yeah, if you're an American citizen, you should be voting. But if you're illegal, it's just mind-boggling that illegal immigrants are actually allowed to vote. And I know places like California, you're not even allowed to ask for an ID when you're voting.
So here's the thing. I had this discussion with California and voting in California. And a lot of people say, oh, they don't check for IDs, number one, when you go to vote. Because I vote, and every time I go, even if you show ID, they don't want to see it, which is fine. Then I was like, let me see if they need an ID to register to vote. So if you go on Vote the California and register to vote, an acceptable form of ID is a gym membership, a utility bill, or, not both, it's or. It had like a 20 list of items that basically, like,
anyone can get,
and anyone can register and vote, essentially. Yes, it's fraud if you're signing and voting, but like, who's gonna verify that? And after like millions of votes come in.
It was that easy to get a firearm.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying. Like, I think it's important, I mean, to have voter ID. I mean, when you go to vote, you should be able to.
Government ID.
Government ID. I think it's important because I get like all the ballots mailed to my house from my mom, my sister, my father, myself, my wife. And it's like anyone can just sign and mail it all in. And then like you got 5 votes in, you know?
Yeah.
At one go.
Yeah, at one go.
Yeah. I think we saw that. That's why this redistricting is happening in places like Texas, and Florida's talking about it, because people are abusing the system. And those mail-in ballots, if you don't mail them in, somebody else will harvest it. So
Pretty sure I got one sitting on my desk right now.
Yeah.
So it's, I think you have to have election integrity, otherwise you don't have any control of your country. And it's basically a wide open door for foreign actors to actually do damage to our country.
What kind of foreign actors and what kind of damage do you think they're looking to do?
I think that's a pretty broad question.
Because we hear foreign actors. Yeah. Who are we talking about?
Well, the big competitor in the world market right now is China. And we see what's going on. They're their main provider of fentanyl, the fentanyl precursor, which is killing 100,000 people in America per year. It's not just 100,000 people, which is a lot of people, but it's their families are disrupted, communities are disrupted, basically homelessness, the economies are disrupted.
Well, we do it too. We had John Kiriakou, CIA officer here, and he was talking about the poppy fields in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And they're like, just keep growing, just keep growing. They were the #1 exporter of heroin, and it was going to Russia, Iran, and like other countries. And they said, well, we want to just make sure the societies get things. So it's like, I think everyone does it to everybody.
I'm sure there is, but I care about America.
Of course, 100%.
So it's, I don't know everything the CIA does. I'm just like you guys.
Again, these are stories, not verified. These are stories, cool stories that they share, but
I care what happens here. This is, we're Americans. We live here. Our families are here, and America to me is. I was telling you, earlier. I've been to about 40 countries, and this is by far the greatest country in the world, the only place in the world that has true free speech. And,
I think it's the only country that has free speech.
There's England claims they do. Exactly. Only ones that have real free speech.
Yeah.
That's actually defendable in the Constitution. And they say that they have hate speech laws, but hate speech that's a term invented by Mao Zedong to circumvent free speech. Mm-hmm. And so America really is the greatest nation in the world because we're a country that is supposedly self-governed, self-determined, and I think over the decades we've lost sight of that. The youngest generation, I don't think they understand that we are self-governed, and that's why I was saying earlier, we have to actually participate, because if we don't, somebody else is going to fill that void, and whoever fills it does not have our best interests at heart.
What do you think is the greatest threat to America right now?
That's a good question. I think, honestly, free speech is a big part of it, because we saw that during COVID. All the free speech, all the health information, the mask information. I mean, the government was, the Biden administration was shutting things down. They were shutting.
It was throttled.
Real doctors had real information to help people, and instead, many people were killed because they had bad information.
I feel like free speech is on the way up. From 5 years ago. If you think 5 years ago, you said anything on YouTube or Instagram or any Meta, it would get censored crazy. But I think after Elon Musk bought Twitter and just kind of like opened up the floodgates.
I think we had a blip, but it's still on a slope.
I'm not saying it's like free, because I mean, we have people on the show and they're like, I don't want to say this word. I don't want to say that word. It's going to get censored. It's going to get, but I feel like it's on the, like,
I still feel like
you think it's just as bad as 5 years ago?
I think it's just as bad.
What do you think?
I think it's a little better. I think, it changes with the presidential terms too. So
that's true.
We can go reverse the other way in 3 more years if we get a different result.
And the reason why these CIA guys are all saying it's going to get worse, because we're swinging so far from right to left every single election that it is like, how much worse can it get? Like, can we just get somewhere in the middle so like everyone can be equally unhappy instead of like one side super happy, one side super miserable?
People love controversy. They love to be emotional and angry. I think that's the side we live on, where it is, 24/7 social media, and it's all about gotcha moments, and it's dopamine receptor, constant entertainment.
So you must be crazy. You're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, you're super successful, you lead a private life, and you want to put that all aside and go into the public life where you're under a microscope and
your family,
your wife, family, everything's like on you. What's going on in your head?
What bug did you get up your butt to want to do this?
I never wanted to do it. I felt compelled to do it, honestly. I see where everything's been going. I grew up in a much, 20, 30 years ago, life was different in America, and our freedoms have been eroding. And you have career politicians like Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This has been happening to her watch for a long time. And I think that we're in a unique position where, with social media, with this connection we have as a people, communication, we can go one direction really bad or one direction really great. And it's all about who's leading us to get us there, because we have more tools, we have AI, we have cryptocurrency, we have the ability to empower people. And if we don't have good leadership, we're gonna go the wrong way. And I at least wanna say, hey, I did my part, I did what I could to help out. And I have daughters now, I have 2 daughters, and I'm 42, I've gotten far enough in my life where I said, okay, I need to actually do something to help our people in Florida, where I'm running, help America, because I may not have the opportunity to do it again, but at least I say I tried to do something. And so I've never had social media before. I've been very private, but I feel that this is important enough where I have to try.
So we're always about like helping people as well. And we get a lot of questions from some of the guests that how do we make money? How do we invest? And one of the things is your background is heavy into crypto. Mm-hmm. Can you give us some advice as far as like for people wanting to invest in crypto that are just starting out?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give investment advice.
Not investment advice. Again,
yeah, I think I'll preface that.
This is just a one-on-one conversation. Ignore the cameras. You're not giving financial advice.
Sure. I mean, personally, I think Bitcoin's going to keep going up for a while now.
It's at 125 now.
Yeah, I do believe we'll see eventually $500,000, $1 million Bitcoin plus. And I actually got my mother-in-law to start doing this too. There's some platforms.
How do people get started? Like, what's the first step? Let's say we have a boomer dad or boomer mom that's like, I want to get into Bitcoin or crypto. How do they get started? What account do you trust? What wallet? What are those things?
Sure. I mean, if you go to Kraken or Coinbase, I mean, those are great exchanges.
Are those the safest ones?
I think so.
So Kraken or Coinbase?
Kraken, Coinbase are good. They're here in America, they're licensed. I think they're good platforms. I mean, I don't have any affiliation with any of them, so just
Again, you're just giving me
giving my
advice,
personal
and I'm going to give
experience.
my parents advice.
yeah. There's a really simple platform that's great called swanbitcoin.com. Again, no affiliation whatsoever, but I put my mother-in-law on that. And what she does is every week she buys $100. Doesn't matter if the price is this or price is low.
So through Swan,
Swanbitcoin.com.
And you can buy a fraction, like,
Yeah. So don't worry about $120,000 Bitcoin. What you're looking at is percentages gained.
okay.
So
what's Swan versus Kraken or?
it's just very simple. Anybody, there's no complicated charts or anything like that. You just
Fairly dummy proof.
So is it just like a Kraken and Coinbase?
No, Swan Bitcoin will let you do recurring auto debiting of your bank account.
Gotcha. So you link up your bank account and it just debits every single month and buys?
You can do it every week, every month, $50, $100, whatever you want.
And is your money safe with them? Like they're not going to steal your wallet and like?
It's safe, yeah. Yeah. So it's all licensed, all custody platforms, and secure.
And then what do you do once you have the Bitcoin?
You save it.
You just save it?
Save it. It's just like putting money in the bank.
It's like a 401k.
It's like a 401k. I think as we progress, there's other ways that you can monetize that by earning interest, by doing different lending or yield platforms.
How do you do that?
That's still being developed. I mean, there's some smart contracts and things like that. Bitcoin is not a smart contract, so it's a little more complicated. But there are platforms where, just like you can invest dollars, in a stock market or anything like that, there's platforms where you can basically earn interest off of your assets.
Like your Bitcoin?
Correct.
So can you name like one or two websites?
I'm not sure which ones are doing that on Bitcoin right now. I mean, I know on staking, it's smart contracts, which are different types of blockchains that Bitcoin are doing things.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure which ones are doing it for Bitcoin today.
So how would we make money doing this? How much interest can we make? Is it through Ethereum or is it?
It changes with the market. So Morpho is a platform now that's doing borrowing and lending yields. I think on stablecoin you can earn like 11% annual interest.
So what do? You go to Morpho?
Morpho.org, I believe it is.
.org. You set up an account and then pull money out of your checking account, put it in there, and then you can.
No, I don't. If you already have stablecoin, you move it into Morpho, and you can earn about 11% yield per year.
And are stablecoins backed by US dollar or how are they?
Yeah, US dollar stablecoins are backed by US dollar. Yeah, and there's different stablecoins for different fiat currencies out there, but I mean US dollar is the largest trading fiat compared to with all the crypto, so it's the largest stablecoin out there.
How'd you get into crypto?
I tried getting into it. It was probably about 2013 or 14 because I read the white paper and I was like, this is brilliant. It's freedom. It's basically digital gold. And I'd asked some of my programs about it, and I just kind of forgot about it, and they never did anything. But then in 2016, I found some sites the technology is picking up a little bit. The platforms are getting easier to use, which they were still pretty rough in 2016, 17. But I just started trading it, buying it, and
Bitcoin?
yeah. And just the more involved into it I got, the more excited I got. And then, my company, we started really pushing it in 2020. Started building out the infrastructure for it.
What's your company called?
One of the companies I have is called Ibanera, and it's a fintech payments company that supports other crypto companies and financial institutions.
So who would come to you and what do you do?
We support other banks, other fintech companies, crypto exchanges for payments. So if you need banking to support payments in and out, credit card acceptance, payouts on cards, exchanging, basically anything moving money in or out of a platform.
How much money are you guys moving in and out from your company? Like how much are you guys servicing annually?
Annually, probably about 20 billion.
Billion with a B?
Yeah.
20 billion a year your company is processing?
Yes.
Why are you running it? Why are you going in politics?
Honestly,
What's wrong with you?
actually, I never really cared about the money. I just see it as a tool. I never built any of the companies I did for the money. It was really, this is a cool idea, or this could help somebody, and I kind of saw an opportunity to create something cool or different or helpful. And anytime you do that, I think money follows. Because at first, it took a long time. I mean, it was...
How many employees do you guys have?
Probably about 150.
So let me ask you a question. What's the salary of a congressman that you're going for?
Around 180,000, I think.
So you're running a company that's doing $20 billion a year, and you want to just kind of say, no, put this aside and go for a $100,000 a year salary? What?
Yeah, I mean, don't you think that's more important?
Well, I
Helping out
think
a
you
whole
can
country?
take this money and like do real positive shit, don't you think? You probably could do both. But can you still run the company and still be at Congress, or do you have to divest, or how does that work?
You know, there's some ethics rules that you should divest. I mean, if you move things into a trust, if it's public or things like that. But this is private equity, so it's a little bit different. But I've already started stepping out. I stepped aside already as a CEO, and so I have competent people running it. But pretty much from here on out, I'm out of the company.
You said you have other companies you started as well, right?
Yes.
What are some of the other ones?
Another company we started, actually it's been 5 years in the making, but we launched officially this year, a company called Bitline. And we're working with Every and some casinos. Every is a payments company for the casinos in the United States. And basically what we do is we have a platform that allows patrons at a casino to use their cryptocurrency to get the chips inside the casino without selling the cryptocurrency.
Like staking it, like borrowing against it, like a marker?
Similar. I don't want to. I mean, I can't use the word marker because then you get in some other legal terms.
Okay.
But basically, you can walk and say you want. Say you're at the Wynn Casino and you want $100,000 in chips. It's Saturday night, 2 a.m. You can't send a wire. You can't, get underwritten for a market because they don't know you.
Yeah.
So, boom, deposit your Bitcoin.
Are you
5
serious?
minutes later, get your $100,000 chip.
You could do this now?
Yes.
Why are you going to Congress? Michael, I don't, the math ain't mathin'. Help me understand this.
Well, let's take that innovation, let's take that basically execution and bring it to the government.
Okay.
Because that affects 350 million people.
I think Elon tried that with Doge, and he realized, let me go back to Twitter, because it's tough.
Your knowledge and skill set, though, you could create more change without jumping in.
Yeah, because I think you can fund a lot of different stuff, like NGOs, to kind of help.
Well, the NGOs didn't do so well. We saw that with
because it was funded by know who. It rhymes with Oros and starts with an S.
Yeah, which they've already came after me.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
So, another topic.
Can you also lie and be like, yes, I will support you, give me all your money, and then just do a double take?
No, I can't. I mean, I just really want to give it a shot. If I can make it a positive impact, I think that's a huge success. And
but I'm curious what they did or what they're doing.
So I started a Bitcoin mining operation, relatively small. It wasn't a big thing in Michigan earlier this year. And a few months later, I got sued by a school. And the school said there was a lot of noise. But what's interesting is we were working with the school, and there was no noise. We were below the decibels were below the level of this conversation right now, but they still complained, and they sued me. And a few weeks later, we started watching the social media and saw, this person who was superintendent of the school was attending all these meetings, a group called Indivisible. And then I got a phone call from somebody that worked at the power plant saying, hey, this woman from Indivisible came up to me screaming, we're opening a chapter in this town, we're coming after Michael Carbonara. I'm like, Indivisible, who are these people? Turns out they're the people behind the No Kings riots, funded by Soros.
And were you running for government at this point?
Yeah. So it was pretty funny how that all turned out.
So they've already started poking.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were attacking me and they were saying they wanted to shut my operation down. But they're coming after me specifically. And this was about 2-3 months after I filed with the FEC.
Right now, we're seeing a lot of protesters, and you watch on social media, there's teams that follow these protesters and see these are career paid protesters that go from town to town to town to just they're hired professional protesters that go across the country. Have you had any of those come up to you?
Not yet. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's still a little early. We got 13 months. I did hear that group in Michigan did try to hire one of those companies. But yeah, they were protesting right on our site.
Who's behind all of this? And what's the objective? It seems like they just want to destroy everything. On the surface, that's what it looks like. But what's behind the scenes? What are they trying to accomplish?
I think that there's people that really want to disrupt, and they want to institute global government by breaking down our freedom and breaking down our democratic values and our systems. And there's people that want to protect America as a free country. And then you have a lot of people underneath that really don't understand the big picture, but they follow the propaganda and they actually believe it. And there's a lot of good people that are tricked. They're saying, this person's bad, but when you look at everything, because I'll give you a great example. At these protests and the people coming after me for the Bitcoin mining, they were saying I was raising electricity for everyone, which is false. I was doing the opposite. I was polluting the water. I was melting children's brains with EMFs. I mean, all types of things. But the protesters actually believed it, even though everything they said was a lie. So I think that's what we see, but at a bigger scale. So when you have actors like George Soros, and he, along with Obama, Hillary, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, were in the Durham Annex for the Russiagate scandal. But they obviously concocted a fake narrative and a fake scandal, but half of America actually believed it. And so that's what we have. And when you have social media 24/7, basically you can change people's ideas in real time and get people all frenzied and fired up to fight because they're just looking for a fight. So if you give them something to target, they're going to go after it.
But how do you gain? How do you win? Like, for example, Soros is spending all this money, right? Again, what we're seeing on the media, that Soros is doing this, he's doing that. What's his benefit? What's he going to gain?
Control, influence. He was spending this money, but if you look at one of the interviews with Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, he basically said how if Soros takes $10 million, use that to lobby DC, USAID will give him $1 billion. So he wasn't spending his own money; he was spending our money, your money. Mm-hmm. So it's a big scam.
But what's the end? Like, how is he financially gaining? Like, what kind of control is he getting? What is the? Because every time if something's happening, you want to kind of look backwards and see who's going to benefit. Because from the benefit, you can tell like what the reason is. You know what I mean? Well, what's the benefit with all the riots or anti-ICE movement and all that stuff that's being funded? Mm-hmm. Who's benefiting? Who's gonna benefit from that?
I think that Trump is disrupting a lot of the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy by nature wants to keep the bureaucracy. And there are some people that bureaucracy might have hundreds or thousands of different private interests.
Just making money off of it?
Making money off of it, having career jobs, staying elected, staying relevant, staying in power, influencing. So I don't think it's necessarily one bad person, but a bureaucracy by nature is like all these different things, but when you add them together, they seem like there's coordination, but it's just one group protecting another group because ultimately they're protecting themselves. And, but there is financial gain, there's power gain. I'll give you a good example. Soros is known as the guy who broke the Bank of England.
That's my point, but he made money off of that.
Exactly.
Billions of dollars.
Yeah. So he shorts markets, goes long, but with these USAID, he was gaining way more money. He might have spent 10 million, but he was getting $1 billion back in free money. And then he can manipulate markets and then bet against those markets. Or have contracts of distribution of different products or services. There's all types of things.
Do you think it's ever gonna change? Because presidents come in for only 4 years. If they're lucky, maybe 8 years if they're reelected, and then another president comes in and boom, all the policies change, executive orders come in, and then it's just.
Yeah, I think it will change. But how it changes is up to us right now. Like I was saying, we're at a really, to me, the greatest time in human history. We have all this technology, all this connectivity of real-time information. We have cryptocurrency, which represents real assets and value that is not centrally controlled, that people can basically, to me, it's the fastest way for middle class to retain wealth and pass it on. I think with Elon Musk buying Twitter, now X, he's actually exporting free speech to the whole world. So you may not have free speech in Germany or England, but he's pushing it out there. And when you have free speech or actually access to real information, that changes the minds of the people. And that's key to everything. So between cryptocurrency, we're exporting wealth or access to wealth, and exporting free speech, that's a global shift.
Sam Altman's OpenAI, I think he's launching a cryptocurrency which requires you to scan your retina. Have you heard about that one?
I have, yeah.
What is that? Can you talk about that? They want to scan your retina so they know, it's called digital ID, and they want to make sure that it's tied to an actual physical person, but
Yeah, so, I'm really not in favor of biometrics. And it's just the same thing as a fingerprint, an eye scan.
Yeah, because once it's hacked and out there, you have no control over who gets it.
Yeah, I'm not for it. And cryptocurrency, as was founded, was really about privacy ultimately. So. But there's this thing, it's you can have privacy, but if you're going to be regulated, you have to give up some of the privacy. So that's why we have DeFi and CeFi, or decentralized finance versus centralized financing. So there's a world where that meshes together. But when you're giving up your retina scan.
Well, what is his specifically called? I forgot what the crypto is called, and why does it have to have
it's
your
just his
retina?
chosen method of doing it. There's other platforms where you do selfie scans, and there's platforms where you do fingerprints. but they're trying to identify and protect against fraud. But he might be doing other things with AI. I really don't know.
Okay. You heard about that? So in order to buy the Bitcoin, the coin,
I'm not doing it.
I forget what it is.
You already know how weird
But you
I
have
am.
to go give them your firstborn blood DNA.
I don't even like that the cell phone carrier has all your information.
I was in Argentina last year, and actually, coincidentally, the week
I was there
there,
actually last year.
they were giving away free coins. It was like $5 to $10. People stood in line to scan the retina. Sam Altman was giving away free tokens to people. So he's paying for their scams.
Data.
That's what we did with the Osama bin Laden raid. They had a doctor go and pretend like he was giving out free polio vaccines and getting everyone's DNA just to see if it was Osama's family or not. In Zero Dark 30. That's interesting. So for $5, they're trying to get your retina info.
At what point do you need your own security team?
Yeah, because you walked in here
I was
solo. I'm like, yeah, he's still a CEO. He's not used to.
Well, you've clearly made the radar.
If you got picketers.
Yeah.
Hell no, we won't go. Michael's got to go. Shit, that's a good one actually.
Yeah, well,
Be
go tell him
careful.
that one.
Hell no. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much of an ego, but maybe eventually it'll be a requirement. I don't know.
All right. Cool.
Well, appreciate you coming on today, Michael. Where can people find you?
My website is michaelcarbonara.com, and I'm running again for Florida's 25th District in the 2026 election against Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
having me.
you.